Hi, I'm Eric Soriano, Senior Commercial Sales Rep with Hermes Landscaping. I'm here to talk about a real problem we have in landscaping. It's getting evergreen trees to survive the first year. Problem is, they're getting underwatered and overwatered. I'm going to talk about some landscape establishment issues here. First, I'm going to talk about the tree itself when we transplant it. When we transplant an evergreen tree, it's typically, in our market, it's balled and burlapped. In other words, the roots are in this burlap bag, essentially. And when we first plant the tree, its entire environment that it has to live in is that area that immediately surrounds the root ball. So it's this little area here, and this tree's roots are just coming out of that root ball, and they're trying to establish into the grade. The problem is overwatering this tree or underwatering this tree. We lose more evergreen trees to overwatering than we do to underwatering, and here's why. At the same time we're trying to establish this tree, we're trying to establish the adjacent sod. In our case in Kansas City, it's fescue sod. We have irrigation heads all over the place, and they're spraying out approximately 1 inch of water per week in a typical situation, but during establishment, we're trying to keep the sod really soaked, like a swamp, okay? So when you walk through it, it squishes and everything. Well, guess what? That's a great condition for fescue sod because it's trying to root into the ground. At the same time, this evergreen tree is trying to root into the grade. It doesn't like water. This spruce tree evolved on the slopes of Colorado in a very arid condition, and it doesn't like a lot of water. Well, if you keep watering your sod 3 times a day during the first 21 days like we do, this tree could very possibly drown. If you look out on a new landscape, you see all those dead evergreen trees. It's because they're being overwatered. And the reason they're being overwatered is because no one is doing establishment services to check them, okay? So what needs to happen is someone needs to go out at least once a week with a probe like this. It's a metal, this is actually a valve key we cut off and put a nice sharp point on it, but we also cut notches into it. And the notches, when we withdraw this from the ground, we push this into the ground next to the root ball. When we withdraw this, we'll see, is this slimy mud or is this kind of dry dirt? And we want kind of a moist dirt, optimally. If the dirt is really dry, we know that tree's not getting enough water. But in this scenario, with irrigation heads all around it, and we're trying to get the sod established and the tree at the same time, that's the problem in landscaping, is we're forced to do everything right at the end, get it in the ground, get it established, right? We're the last contractor typically out on the site. So now what happens is, with establishment services, we have a human being go out there and check the moisture content around this root ball. If it's too wet, we go over to the irrigation controller and we back down the irrigation. If possible, we have to back it down. So what is that? There's another way of taking care of this. Have the sod put in first. Have the sod put in for 21 days, get the sod established, then come back after 21 days and put in the evergreen trees. Now, but we still need to do what's called establishment services. We need to come back and make sure there's enough moisture down in here. Approximately 20 gallons a week is what this tree needs, once a week. It doesn't have to be watered throughout the week, just one good watering, and then it needs a chance to off-gas and dry out. So with establishment services, one of our people trained in horticulture goes out and probes each of the trees' root balls to see what the moisture condition is, so that the tree will thrive and be beautiful. If we see it starting to turn brown, typically we know it's overwatered. Sometimes it can be underwater. If it's in an unirrigated condition, that's the flip side to this whole thing, is when we put these out, we're screening what they call non-like uses. We're out on the back side of the construction site, and we're putting a screen to screen the loading docks or whatever. Well, now the trees are probably not being watered, okay? Now we have a 1-year warranty on these trees, but it's conditional upon proper care and maintenance. There is a preventative maintenance care that has to happen to these trees, and one of those is watering on a weekly basis for their first growing season. So I highly recommend an owner purchase landscape establishment services the first year to help protect their evergreen tree investment, to see that they thrive and look beautiful and do well. And that when the landscape contractor comes out to do the warranty inspection, he's assured that these trees were taken care of properly during the 1-year warranty period. So that's Eric Soriano, Hermes Landscaping, signing off. Thanks, and if you have any questions, my email will be in the text box below. Thank you.